I want to say, croeso I chi heddiw. Is that okay?
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
Tell me what I just said.
You just said, welcome to you all today.
So we're with Aran Jones, founder of Say Something in Welsh. He's going to lead the biggest Welsh lesson ever. Okay? But before we do that, I want to play this wonderful Land of My Fathers, the Welsh national anthem. Just translate the title, please, for us, Aran.
Hen wlad fy nhadau.
Henwad van Hadai.
Da iawn.
Land of My Fathers, and I tried to introduce it in Welsh slightly. Today on St David's Day I'm asking if we all have a duty to preserve and grow the Welsh language, even if, like me, you're not a speaker, you don't really know more than a word or two, but from a distance we can relish the fact that there is a language in this country that is not the main English language, and we should all want it to survive and thrive. So do you live in Wales but you never learnt Welsh, or are you somebody who's always wanted to learn but you think it's too difficult? Maybe you married a Welsh speaker, you're moving to Wales, or like millions of others, you've been living in Wales all your life and you just not bothered to learn it. Welsh is a member of the Brythonic branch of the Celtic languages, along with Breton and Cornish. After English, Welsh is the most spoken native language from the British Isles, might even be the oldest language in Britain. Although only a minority of people who live in Wales speak Welsh as their first language, all children learn it in school until the age of 16. 16% of pupils in Wales have their education entirely through the medium of Welsh and are fully bilingual when they leave school. So here's the question: do those of us with no connection to Wales have a duty to learn the language, speak a few words? Let's try together, shall we? I'm joined by, as I mentioned, Aran Jones. Say Something in Welsh is his firm, and I know you have quite an intense way of teaching, is that right?
Yes, we like to put people under a lot of pressure.
So we'll find out about that in a moment. But just you tell us, first of all, why do you think the Welsh language has survived for so long?
Oh gosh, what a fascinating question. I think it can only be love. I can't think of any other reason why it's done so much better in Wales than the Gaelic or the Gaeilge in Ireland have done, because they're in many ways more politically boisterous than we are.
Yes, because arguably Scottish nationalism is a more powerful force in Scotland than Welsh nationalism is in Wales, arguably, and yet the language is stronger in Wales.
It's also probably connected to the translation of the Bible and then the religious revival about 120 years ago, and that made it something that had a different kind of status.
Yeah.
But I think mainly just love.
Yeah, and we used to hear stories of people, if they were caught speaking Welsh in school, they would have their hands wrapped and so on.
And there was a perception for a long time that teaching or bringing your children up in Welsh would hold them back in the world. So we had, you go back to that time, and in many ways it was actually an act of love for the parents to deny the children their language. But now it's much more likely to be a conscious act of love to give it back to them.
Now, you did not grow up speaking Welsh yourself, which is really interesting because now you're teaching it.
Yeah, no, it's been an entertaining journey.
So did you at some point decide to learn it, or did that come through your schooling?
No, I think it was always there as kind of unfinished business. My grandparents spoke Welsh, and I was in Wales for the first couple of years of my life, which is quite an important time in terms of language acquisition. And then we were overseas for ages. I didn't come home full time until I was in my early 30s. And I just always knew I had unfinished business, that I wouldn't be coming home the whole way until I had the language.
So if we look at Welsh as a language, what do you think are the main challenges, particularly for somebody whose main language is English?
I don't think there are any main challenges. I think there are a lot of myths.
I love that.
But no, it's all doable. Some of the sounds are unfamiliar to you, but that's true of most non-European languages. So, you know, it's something you're likely to run into anyway. It's all doable.
How do you make it simple?
I think that's about the pain again. I think if you put yourself in an uncomfortable position, it's about going outside of your comfort zone. Because language acquisition it requires effort. It requires synaptic growth. And if you avoid that, if you sort of settle for tedious, less threatening things like making lists and trying to learn vocabulary, then you're just shying away from the real work.
Because we met earlier when I was saying, gosh, if I did 10 days intensive schooling with you, would I be able to go into a newsagent and buy a bag of crisps? And you said, well, hang on a minute, that's the first 5 minutes. Yeah. That's the phrasebook Welsh. So then the question is, okay, would I be able to describe my first love? Now, and then that's harder, because you're talking about feelings.
Right down at the other end of the scale.
It's the hardest thing.
And you're expressing yourself, your own identity, and that becomes incredibly challenging. But yes, that's the sort of stuff we're seeing. We're seeing people having really valuable conversations after they've done 5 to 10 intensive days, depending a bit on the type of their neurology.
So, let's take a very simple sentence, such as, I want to speak Welsh and I'm enjoying speaking Welsh now. Not quite poetry, but... Could you help me learn that?
Yeah.
Could you help us all, everyone listening, learn it? Let's do a sentence in Welsh together. Here we are.
Let's have a go at that. Okay, but first things first, if you don't mind me sort of just being a little bit random here, but it's quite important. How are you feeling about that right now?
I'm feeling that's quite a boring sentence in a way. I'm sort of feeling like that's the phrasebook sentence.
Okay.
But I'm feeling that my main worry is going to be that I'll only take sounds in, and I won't remember sounds, because I tend to remember words.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the interesting word you said there for me was the word worry, and worry is very, very bad for learning.
Okay.
So the most important ground rule, pretty much the only ground rule, is that this is now about what I do. So I have to get this right for you. It isn't about how well you do.
Oh, so you can be worried and not me.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Which fits in well with the media.
I'll embrace this sentence. I want to speak Welsh, and I'm enjoying speaking Welsh now. Okay,
yeah.
I'm into that now.
Okay, so the first thing I want you to focus on is the Welsh for I. In fact, I'd like you to stop looking at the notes.
Actually, you know what? I'll put the notes away because I realise that's going to be cheating. Right,
Good
so
man.
come on, I'm
Good
focusing
man.
on you.
So I in Welsh, you say dwi.
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 So tell me I in Welsh.
Dwi.
Okay, excellent.
Dwi.
So to want in Welsh is isio. Isio.
I'm closing my eyes so I don't even have to see any distraction.
Good.
Dwi isio.
Okay, so you've gone ahead of me already, because I didn't ask you to say that.
That's
so
fine.
Now I'm going to pull you back a little bit. Tell me to want in Welsh.
Isio.
Well done. And I want?
Dwi isio.
Yeah, and actually what you put together there was something you hadn't heard before.
No.
So you've already adapted to a slightly different pattern. You didn't say well I to want is dwi isio. You just automatically adapted.
I've got no idea about spelling. I've got in my head DWI and then ESAW. I've got no idea. Doesn't matter.
Spelling doesn't matter.
Okay.
I mean,
I love that. That's very helpful.
What age are you when you start to read and write? You're already talking.
Okay, dwi isio.
Okay, well done. So the Welsh for to speak is siarad.
Dwi isio siarad.
Yeah, okay, well you are going
Siarad.
far too fast. Okay, give me a chance to tell you what I want you to say.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
And then the people who are playing along at home, they can try and beat you, which is going to be tough actually, because you're doing this quite quickly. So to speak is
siarad,
and to want to speak.
Isio siarad.
Lovely. And I want to speak.
Dwi isio siarad.
Lovely. Dwi isio siarad. That's really good. So Welsh is Cymraeg.
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 That's C-Y-M. That's one.
Yeah, don't think about the spelling.
No,
Throw the spelling out.
Cymraeg.
This is a word game. It's not a spelling test.
Now, I'm starting to lose the first bit now. Siarad is speak. Cymraeg.
So let me do this.
Okay,
let me do this.
sorry.
You just relax
Yes, I'm
and
relaxed.
don't worry about getting it right.
Not on the air. Yeah.
So Welsh is
Cymraeg.
lovely, and to speak is
Siarad.
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 Lovely, well done. So to speak Welsh,
Siarad Cymraeg.
lovely, and to want,
Isio.
excellent. So to want to speak,
Isio siarad.
lovely, isio siarad.
I siarad.
Isio siarad. But
What's going
don't
wrong
worry
there?
about that. Well, no, nothing's going wrong there. What's happening is your brain is getting exposure to more of the information, and it will encode it a layer at a time. You shouldn't expect to be perfect.
Okay,
And
Isio siarad.
perfection is a great enemy of language learning.
Ah.
So to want to speak Welsh,
isio siarad Cymraeg.
Lovely. So I want to speak Welsh.
Dwi isio siarad Cymraeg.
Lovely. So one more word, and then I think you're due a slight breather. Are you feeling the effort? You're feeling
I'm really enjoying it because for some reason I can sort of see it on the inside of my eyelids, and I'm enjoying different sounds coming out of my mouth.
Lovely. So today is heddiw.
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 Heddiw. Lovely. So Welsh is
Cymraeg.
lovely. Welsh today.
Cymraeg heddiw.
Lovely. To speak.
Siarad.
To speak Welsh.
Siarad Cymraeg.
To speak Welsh today.
Siarad Cymraeg heddiw.
Ah, lovely.
I love that you go forwards and backwards. I'm loving.
To want to speak.
Isio siarad Cymraeg heddiw.
Oh, you love getting ahead of the
Heddiw.
game, don't you? Yeah,
Sorry.
well done. Good correction.
Sorry.
So now give me just to want to speak.
Okay. Isio siarad.
Lovely. To want to speak Welsh.
Isio siarad Cymraeg.
Lovely. To want to speak today.
Isio siarad Cymraeg heddiw.
Ah, to want to speak today.
Oh, I see.
That was a deliberate
Isio
trip.
siarad heddiw.
Lovely. Siarad.
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 Isio
heddiw.
siarad heddiw.
So I want.
Isio.
I want.
Isio.
The I, the little sound before
Dwi
the well
isio.
done.
Dwi isio.
Excellent. So I want to speak.
Dwi isio siarad.
So I want to speak today.
I'm loving this. Dwi isio siarad heddiw.
So I want to speak Welsh today.
Dwi isio siarad Cymraeg heddiw.
And I'd say you already are.
Let's play some music. I'm loving this. I hope you're doing this whether in the car or at home or whatever. We're with Aran Jones of Speak Something, Say Something in Welsh on St David's Day with daffodils on the desk. How about that? Just thinking, Terry Walton on the official allotment. We need to wish him a happy St David's Day, so we're just going to... Oh, are you there, Terry?
I'm here, Jeremy, and what's this you speak Welsh better than a Welshman like myself now.
Well,
I feel very humble now.
Are you ready for this? Dydd Goel, Dewi Hapus.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Happy
I
St
hope
David's
you have a
Day.
nice leak on your lapel.
Actually, funnily enough, I've got daffodils here, and I have got a daffodil badge. You've just reminded me to put it on my show. So yes, I have, Terry, and happy St David's Day to you, my friend, and to the family.
Thank you very much, and I'm very nice program today. I'm sitting here listening to you while I'm eating my lunch.
Oh, great stuff. Cheers, my friend.
All the best now. Take
All
care.
the best. Bye-bye. So, yeah, different part of Wales from you, Aaron, I know, because you're Carnarvon, aren't you?
Yeah, right up in the north.
So, we've now had a bit of an interruption to our lesson, which is interesting, and I haven't been sitting there thinking about your sentence. I played a record, I talked to Terry. Now we test it, don't we?
And this is when it can feel quite challenging because you have a sense that you're meant to remember, but actually we're meant to forget. That the brain is very good at forgetting because it needs to be clearing things out and not focusing on stuff that isn't central. So what the feeling you've got right now is absolutely normal. That
Right.
they've slipped away.
I was worried.
So what we do now, we revisit so that you get those layers building back up again. And even if you don't get them right straight away, after you've heard them again, then they'll start to come back. So, can you? I mean, I don't want to preempt. But can you remember what I is?
Yeah, dwi.
So
Dwi,
I want.
So, dwi isio siarad Cymraeg